Morning everybody. We're doing a bit of sheep work today. So we're bringing in all 3 mobs of sheep. Dad has organised for Shane, the sheep shearer, to come down on Monday, Tuesday to crutch sheep. So we're bringing in the main Dohne mob, the weaner lambs, and the other mob of 50 or so Dohne ewes that had the white Suffolk with them. We're going to drench some of them, and we'll look over. We're going to bring the 50 or so ewes, we'll look over and see if they need to be drenched, but the main mob will be drenched maybe tomorrow. And with the weaner lambs going to be drenched as well, Dad? Yeah, we'll drench the weaner lambs as well. But first we're going to bring the big mob in, because it might rain today. It's pretty cloudy and dark. They said there might be a little bit of rain, so we'll try and get them ones in first, so that if there is going to be rain, we can put them under the shed and in the shed. And then we'll bring in the rest of the 2 other mobs, and we'll put them in and around the shed, and yeah, we'll go from there. Rightio, we just reached the main Dohne paddock, so I'm going to start rounding them up. Dad's on his way out still with Molly, and yeah, we'll start working them up to the yards and get them in there. Rightio, I'm just pushing the main mob up there at the moment by myself. Dad and Molly have gone out to get the weaner lambs because they're right out the back. And hopefully by the time I've got these up to the shed and stuff, I'll be able to get them in the yards, and then I'll come back and Dad might be starting to push them up. The weaner ones, that is. Yeah, we're just talking then. These ones are obviously in lamb to the Dohne rams. It shouldn't be too long until they actually start lambing. A couple, we were just saying then, look like they could lamb today. They got, yeah, big bellies on them. Obviously got a lamb in there, so yeah, not too long from now we'll start seeing some little white lambs running around, hopefully. Yeah, and hopefully the weather warms up a little bit. We had a pretty good week during the week, bit of sun, bit of wind. It's dried up a lot of the lying water on the farm. It will help these crops out. So the other week when I did the crop update, this was a lot more yellow here in this area. So just in that low spot, but it seems to be perking up a little bit more than what it was the other week. Which brings me on to my next point. Dad wants to put, I can't remember which mob now. I think it's the 50 So the 50 ewes for the white Suffolk are in there, just looking at us now. When we drench them, Dad wants to put them on top of this oats, just to nip the tops off. Dad said that, or the guy that we bought the seed off said that you can let sheep in there on it to nip it down, because it'll grow really tall. So that's the plan. I'm not keen on it. I don't want to see sheep in there wrecking our hard work, eating all our crop, but Dad says it's okay, so I suppose we'll let him be the judge of things, because he's the one running the show. Also, while we're just looking at them, the cows have been moved, so the main herd of cows have been moved. They were on the other side of the oat paddock, in a different paddock there. They've been brought into this one, which has got had a bit of growth in the grass, so they've got a fresh paddock now to chew on. And yeah, so it's only been a week or so since they got the calves were drenched and vaccinated, so now that's their fresh paddock where we moved them to last week. Looks like I got myself a sheep cow. Rightio, just brought them into the small paddock that is before the yards where the sheds is. So what I'm trying to do is going to push them up to the fence just up here where I'm headed now. Because I'm by myself, it's a little bit trickier. I don't have a dog or a second person. So I'm going to push them up to this fence, and then if I run them along the fence, it'll take them straight down to the gates. And then it should be a bit easier to push them in from there, instead of trying to zigzag my way across the paddock with the whole mob. So I will see how I go. They're almost at the fence now, so they should turn towards the gate pretty soon. After being a bloody Casper though, he always drags behind. That's the one thing, because Casper drags behind, he drags sheep behind with him because they'll follow him. So he slows the operation down. But we'll see how we go. So you can see they're getting up to the fence now and they're starting to turn. Once they've turned, I'll be able to push them down towards the gate. Pushing sheep through gates can be pretty frustrating, especially when they don't want to go in. Right, now that I've got them into the yard, well, this area here where we put the machines and whatever, obviously I need to get them into the sheep yards now. Now this is the challenge, because the little gate up there is quite small. It's quite hard getting the sheep over there and actually to go in. Hopefully the long grass will entice them, but we always have a bit of trouble, and it's hard with one person because the yard sort of splits into two because I've got that junk in the middle there. They always want to dart around the other side of it. But we'll see how I go. Hopefully I can get them in. Dad might show back up and give me a hand, but we'll see what happens. So basically we try to always do the same thing anyway with the fences. We bring them in, run them up here to that point, and generally try to run them across to the gate, which is just behind the stuff here, but they always want to run down this way. So that's all we'll do. They probably won't go in, and I'll have to do some running. Also doesn't help, we have Casper who slows them up, and there's also two former pets. You would have seen the one that came up to me when I was trying to push him through that gate before. They dawdle along and they come up to you for a pat and whatever. And because they do that, the other sheep will sort of half follow. And because they dawdle along, they drag the sheep with them. So, because it's a mob mentality, they see one doing one thing, they'll generally follow along. Oh! See, Casper, dawdling back, always dawdling. Go on, Casper. Oh! Oh! They should hopefully go in. There is some long grass in there with a heap of nettles as well. I'm hoping that entices them. We'll see what happens. They're probably having a good time in here as well because the grass is pretty long because nothing's in here eating it. But it's longer than the sheep yards. Oh! Where are you going? Oh! 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 Come on! See, now that we have them in the corner, they're hesitant to go through the gate because we're trying to push them through a little space. This is when you really need two people, someone to stand at this end and someone to stand up there, and you push them in from both sides and squeeze them through the gate basically. But because it's just me, I can only slowly do it. I can't rush them because they'll all shoot out one direction and then I'll have to hand them all back up again. Oh! Oh! Come on! See, and you can see they're starting to walk across there now. They are also just eating, but they'll all move across this way and I'll come back over here, round them up, push them back over. Up. Oh! Now they're going back down towards the plough. So I'll go back down here and do it all over again. Come on! Oh! 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 Come on! Right,
Lucky you guys can't hear what I'm saying, because I'm having a not very fun time. So as you can see, they're bunched into this corner. I'm huffing and puffing. I'm running around like a bloody headless chook. There is about 6 just in through that gate. But for some unknown reason, they won't walk another metre in. They just want to stand there. The grass is longer in there. It's ready to be eaten. It's calling out to the stupid animals. Go in, eat it. But no. Then we have Casper holding up this corner. The stupid pets that just want to run out. My God. Stock work can really bring out the worst in a person. It is bringing out the terribleness in me. Does the same with that. Sheep are stupid creatures. Anybody who says different is probably on the same brain length as those. So, see if they'll go in on their own accord without me running around and yelling. And if they won't, we'll wait for Dad to come back down here. I can see he's brought the weaners down to the gate, just near the cows. So once he gets into the quad bike, we might be able to squeeze them through. So we'll see what happens. Reinforcements arrived and we finally got them in. My God, yell until I go blue in the face. They're in, so now we'll put them into the yards and we'll bring the other mob of weaners in. Hopefully they won't be as bad, but they will be because they're weaners and they're not used to coming in the yards, so they'll probably be even more trouble, but we'll see what happens. Rightio, we managed to get the weaners in. They were easier than the other mob because the ewes were in there already. They just sort of ran straight in. So they weren't too much of a drama. So luckily they're all in now. Hallelujah. So plan is with the sheep now. Dad's not going to bring the other mob in. He's not too concerned about them at the moment. We'll bring them in either later today or tomorrow morning. So all these ones are going to stay in here now and dry off overnight. And we'll drench them all tomorrow, I think the plan is. Yeah, so they'll all empty out now, so that should be fine, and I think they can also run up into the shed so they don't get wet. So now Dad is sending me out to collect firewood, so I'm gonna hook I think Dad's hooking it up by the sounds of it, the little 135 up to a trailer. Gonna go out and pull up a few old fence posts off one of the boundary fences and bring them in for Dad so he can cut up some firewood. Rightio, so I bought the 135 and the little trailer at the back here. So we're in the paddock where the Dohne ewes were the main mob. These guys have been in this paddock plenty. This is where they've been hanging out over winter. So where I'm standing right now is on our boundary with our next door neighbour, who obviously owns that area. And I'm next to the original boundary, well, this is the boundary fence. So this section here is his. There's a bit of a laneway where this gate is that you can't see because of how long the grass is. You can see it along there. He's got a fence just there where that paddock of crop is, and here's the original boundary. There's a big pipeline got put in here for water a few years back now, and they fenced off both sides when they put it in, just so that stock and stuff didn't cross farms, basically, just for us, our benefits really, for us and our neighbour. And because the boundary fence is in such poor condition, basically we've sort of taken over this laneway in this section of paddock anyway. The fence behind you guys at the moment is okay. It's very cobbled together, but no sheep can get into the laneway area.
Our neighbour's talking, he wants to put a fence across here. Well, he wants to redo the boundary fence, which is cool with us. We don't care. We want it obviously done too. And the way it sort of works is half and half. We both, basically the bill gets split in two because we both share this fence line. Yeah, so anyway, this is the original farm fence. I'm not sure when it was built, to be honest. A very long time ago, back probably when the farm was first sort of made or subdivided. It's pretty basic in terms of what we have now. You'll know from us putting up fences and what you've seen, we have generally a cyclone fence with 2 plain wires is how we generally run our fences. I'll show you here what the old setup was. This used to be like it across the entire farm. All the fences were like this. Over the years, we've spent a lot of time pulling up fence posts and rolling up fences and whatever, and then yeah, we've replaced them with new ones. Yeah, so this is what it looks like. The setup it was originally, so for most of the fences on the farm, I don't know if there was always 2 lines of barbed wire or not, but there was generally 1, and then the rest were all just plain wires like this. So big thick plain wires. This is what they used to have back in the day, and this was generally how the fence was sort of set up. And then we had the small wooden droppers that sort of keep the tension in your wire and hold it all together. And then the main posts were these wooden ones. That was pretty much how it was. So over the years, as we've torn up fences or whatever, we use all the main posts for firewood. So that's what I'm out here doing now. So generally, I've done a fair bit of this. I did it on the main 80-acre paddock at one point, which was a fair bit of fence. I'll go along, cut all the wires at the fence post, just drop the wire on the ground. We'll roll it all up when the fence gets built or whatever. And I'll take the fence posts. I don't think our neighbour will care that we take him. He's got a pretty good stockpile. I've seen he's been redoing his whole entire farm boundary, and his fences look chef's kiss basically. Yeah, so I'll stop flapping my gums. I'll start getting this firewood for Dad. Fill up a trailer load at least anyway, to keep him and Mother warm. As you can see, there isn't really much of a post left. It's not really that flash for firewood, but it'll keep them happy enough. So I'll keep moving along and yeah, collecting fence posts as I go along. Well, I've made it up to the other end of the paddock now, up where these Melaleuca trees are. So we're on the corner of the Dohne-Merino paddock and where the barley is, just over there. And we put a fence up. Oh, when did we do that? It must have been last year. Start of last year, or was it the start of this year? I can't remember. How many more posts were there? 3 or 4 more posts to cut off, and then
loaded up onto the quite full now trailer. I don't know how much good wood's there. These posts are pretty rotten, as you would have seen. I'm just pushing them over. Yeah, quite a lot of them are falling apart, but there'll be some wood there for Dad to burn, I guess. So I'll get these last few posts. So the only benefit to them being rotten is they're incredibly light, so I'm throwing these around like they're nothing. Oh yeah, I thought I'd just show you something a little bit interesting I found when I was cutting the wires. Here's a piece, 2 bits of plain wire that I cut, and you can see how they've twisted them together to join 2 ends together, obviously. But you can see like how thick this is compared to the normal wire we use. It's incredibly thick and strong, and it's lasted a long time. The stuff that hasn't been stuck in the ground and rusted away. But you can imagine having to work with this sort of thing and how heavy it would be unrolling a roll of it and twisting the wires together like this by hand. You know, it's a lot of work, especially, well, the fence in itself is a lot of work. Just putting all these posts in would have been taking them ages to do. I guess they would have had to have dug the hole and pounded them in to get the fence set up, and then yeah, running all the wires and droppers. Compared to what we would use. So basically a steel post replaces those big wooden posts. But yeah, and to join 2 bits of wire together now, we'd use what we call a gripple, little mechanism lock type thing. You'd shove 2 bits of wire in it, and they can only go in one way and you can't pull them out the other. That's how you lock the 2 wires together. And obviously our wires are a lot thinner than what we use now. Yeah, so we got a full load of trailer. A full load of trailer? My God. A trailer load of wood for Mum and Dad. So I'll take that up to the house and Dad can cut it up whenever he wants. So there is more of this fence here, but that's on the paddock with the barley in it. I don't have enough room for actually any more posts, but I'm not sure if that fence is in good enough nick that the sheep can't get into this laneway, or if they can, but I'm not pulling it down today. That might be next year's winter wood collection time. So we'll see. He's back up the shed anyway. Alright, so you missed all the action. We've been drafting sheep. We got back down and they'd knocked the latch off one of the gates and they'd mixed, so we had to draft them all to get the lambs out of the ewes. Anyway, then it started raining, so then we had to rush the ewes into the shed. So we've got some under the shed, as you can see, and then the rest are in the shed, and then we've got the lambs over under the gum tree. Yeah, so Dad's currently talking to Shane the sheep shearer, gonna tell him how many sheep we've got to crutch, and no doubt talk a little bit of dribble too. So once they've wrapped up, we'll see what happens next. We might bring in that 50 or so mob. Alright, so me and Molly are gonna go grab that mob of 50 ewes that are in lamb to the White Suffolk, bring them up to the yard, and then they'll be close handy tomorrow for when we start drenching.
Rightio, so we ended up running the sheep back out of the shed because that shower passed, and we let them back out to dry off, so they're all back in the yards. And then it started raining again, and we started running them back in, and then it decided that it was only a shower, so we stopped. So now they're out here in the sunshine, and they'll dry off hopefully. And then Dad and Molly will run them in and pen them all up and under the shed again tonight, just in case it rains overnight. And then we'll come back out tomorrow morning and we'll drench all the sheep on the farm, including the weaners. And we'll just put those... You weren't going to crutch those 50, were you? You weren't crutching those 50 ewes? We don't think we're crutching the 50 ewes, but might change. Who knows? Yeah, so we'll see you in the morning, and looks like we're going to have a big morning of drenching. Fun. All right, we'll be back at you tomorrow morning. Morning, everybody. Back again. So we're going to do our drenching today and get the sheep organised for crutching tomorrow. So Dad let the weaner lamb just have the run of the yard here, so I've got to hunt them back into that back pen, let the ewes out of the shed and from underneath the shed, and then he'll be down and we'll get ourselves organised to give these sheep a drench. How the hell did you get in there? Bloody sheep. Rightio, all the sheep are out. Yeah, that one that got into the onto the deck there, got through one of the holding pen doors, one of the bars that hold them shut, come off. So made a little bit of a mess, but that's all right. Got him out in the end. So yeah, we'll wait for Dad to get here, and then we'll start drenching. We've also got the 50 ewes that are in lamb to the white suffix that is in this back area here. I'm not sure what we're going to drench first. Probably these two wobs, and we'll put them somewhere because they'll need to be let out for a drink. With a trough that's just over there. All right, Dad's come down to the yards here. We've just filled up the drench and set it all up, and now we're going to start drenching. So we're drenching every sheep on the farm today, pretty much. Yeah, so we'll make a start and try and get through them all. Alright, so we just finished drenching the main mob of Dohne ewes. We're just letting them into this section of yard here, and they're going to just clean up all this clover and long grass around the sheds and around this area here. And then we'll drench the weaners and get those ones finished as well. Rightio, so as you just seen, just brought the last 50 ewes in. These are the ones that are in lamb to the white Suffolk. So we've drenched the weaners just before, which is good because they're pretty crappy around their butts, as you would have seen the last time we had them in. So that'll be good for them. And then Shane will clean them up tomorrow and Tuesday. Rightio, gonna let the main mob of Dohne ewes into this section of yard behind the shearing shed, because this is where the water trough is, so we need to give them a drink. They've been in here for a little while now in this other section, demolishing the clover and long grass that's in here, so they'll have had a bit of fresh tucker at least anyway. But yeah, we need to keep them watered as well, because they'll be going back into the shed and under it most likely tonight, so they don't get rained on. Now we'll let the weaners into this section where the ewes were, and they can finish off the remnants of the clover and long grass. Rightio, so finally the 50 or so ewes weren't too bad to do here, but that's all the drenching done for today. So these ones will stay in here for the time being. The ones just in there, so that's the main mob, we'll let them stay in there and have a nibble and have a drink. And the weaners will stay where they are and they'll just have a little bit more of a nibble, and we'll rotate them around so the weaners get a drink and everything too, because as I said, these will have to come back into the shed tonight, just in case there's rain. We don't want them we don't want them to get wet, because when they get wet they absorb the water obviously, and that increases their body weight. It makes it harder for the shearer to handle them. Yes, that's all done and dusted, and Dad will run these ones out later today. So yeah, Shane will be here tomorrow and Tuesday, and him and Dad are going to crutch them all up. I won't be here, I'll be at work, so won't get to see that. But yeah, we're pretty much done for the day. Me and Dad are going to cut up a little bit of wood from those posts I brought in yesterday, and get them organised. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the video. Any questions, just leave them down below, and I will catch you in the next one. All right.